Hey guys, let's get more news from Steelers, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Commanders QB Sam Howell named trade fit for two AFC teams. He's not going to remain the starting quarterback for the Washington Commanders, but Sam Howell still has value as a trade commodity. Howell has been named a trade fit for two AFC teams, the New York Jets and Pittsburgh Steelers. The idea of Howell being available for the Jets is something SNY TV's Connor Hughes loves. I love the idea of this, assuming he's available. The Commanders could easily keep him as the backup. It's not like this is a Sam Darnold, Justin Fields situation. If available, though, I'd prioritize him over anyone else. Howell makes sense for the Jets on multiple levels, but he'd also suit the Steelers. As the Draft Network's Justin Mello put it, Howell would provide strong competition for starter Kenny Pickett. Howell's competitive attitude makes him an ideal candidate to push Pickett in training camp. Dealing Howell would be risky for the Commanders, since veteran backup Jacoby Brissett is a free agent, and a return to the AFC North has already been suggested. Yet, moving Howell on for some draft compensation would give new general manager Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn more resources to rebuild the roster. It would also mean creating a clean break at football's most important position. Leaving a clear path for the potential franchise quarterback, the Commanders are likely to select second overall in the 2024 NFL Draft. Perhaps the best thing to recommend Howell to the Jets is a cap hit under $1 million each of the next 2 years, per Hughes. While the finances are important to owner Woody Johnson, Hughes did note how Howell has fans with the AFC East franchise. There are those in the Jets building who believe he can play, too. Howell would fit as a competent backup to Aaron Rodgers, provided the 40-year-old makes a full recovery from the torn Achilles that wrecked his season in Week 1. Rodgers' age and durability make acquiring a capable deputy a priority for the Jets. Howell fits the bill after showing a flair for making big-time throws, per PFF Commanders. Genuine big play capability makes Howell a better option than Jets incumbent Zach Wilson. The latter is also a candidate for trade, according to ESPN's Rich Cimini. Replacing Wilson with Howell would be a good deal for the Jets, but number 14's arm strength should also appeal to the Steelers. The Steelers have need for Howell after dumping Mitch Trubisky, per NFL Network's Mike Garafolo. Trubisky's exit makes room for Howell. Peters would need to be open to trading Howell, but Mello thinks he may be willing to part with him for a day 3 pick. A late-round selection might not rate as ample compensation for a player who was designated QB1 this season. Howell hardly had the chance to make the role his own, though. The pass-heavy offense called by former coordinator Eric Bieniemy did an inexperienced signal caller few favors. So did an offensive line that allowed 65 sacks. Howell became turnover-happy and was eventually sent to the bench. His struggles were indicative of the misuse of talent common under Quinn's predecessor Ron Rivera. It's up to Peters, Quinn, and new OC Cliff Kingsbury to ensure a quick and successful rebuild with a new QB1. Steelers urged to sign physical WR as complimentary target. Every single Pittsburgh Steelers pass catcher who had more than 3 receptions last season is under contract for 2024. But Bleacher Report's Joe Tanzi still argued on February 14th for the Steelers to target veteran receiver Noah Brown in NFL free agency. The Steelers could use a physical possession-based wide receiver who can complement Deontay Johnson and George Pickens, wrote Tanzi. Noah Brown fits that mold with his 6 feet 2 inches, 215-pound frame. Brown could take some pressure off Johnson and Pickens when it comes to wide receiver production, and he would allow Pat Freiermuth to not be the only option Pickett can trust across the middle. Brown was not only physical, but he was a big play machine for the Houston Texans in 2023. He posted 33 catches for 567 yards, averaging a career-high 17.2 yards per reception with 2 touchdowns. Injuries cut into production from wide receiver Deontay Johnson and tight end Pat Freiermuth during the 2023 season. But each still finished among the team's top 4 pass catchers in terms of yards. George Pickens led the team with 63 catches and 1,140 yards. Pickens was Pittsburgh's big play threat, averaging 18.1 yards per catch. He figures to continue in that role in Arthur Smith's offense next season. But Brown could be a nice complementary target to add as another option over the middle of the field. The Steelers didn't use between the hash marks enough under previous offensive coordinator Matt Canada. Part of that was Freiermuth missing 5 games in 2023. Backup tight ends Connor Hayward and Darnell Washington combined for just 30 catches and 228 yards with no touchdowns the entire season. Brown is obviously a receiver, but his physicality could bode very well for Pittsburgh's intermediate passing attack, especially over the middle of the field. In 6 NFL seasons, Brown has posted 115 catches for 1,547 yards and 5 touchdowns. His best season came in 2022 when he had 43 receptions for 555 yards and 3 scores. First call, Kirk Cousins camp keeping an eye on Steelers' QB situation. Ryan Clark's future at ESPN unclear. A big-name free agent quarterback may have an interest in playing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. J.J. Watt is blowing off some derogatory comments about his brother from Micah Parsons. Ryan Clark's status at ESPN is uncertain. The Penguins are about to play a team that's in even worse shape than they are. And the Duquesne women's basketball team just keeps winning. All that in Thursday's First Call. When it comes to the quarterback rumor mill of late, the most commonly linked player to the Steelers has been Chicago's Justin Fields. That's if the Bears are interested in trading him. Now, for the first time, we are seeing a little smoke on the Kirk Cousins front. That would require a significant free agent contract and a great deal of faith that Cousins recovers fully from his Achilles tendon injury. But Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio told 93.7 The Fan on Wednesday that if the Steelers do have an interest in signing Cousins, that interest might be mutual. I was talking to some people last week who seemed to be intrigued by the possibility of the Steelers making a play for Kirk Cousins. And those people were very close to, if not within, the Kirk Cousins camp, Florio said. There's an acknowledgement that it could happen. The Falcons and the Steelers are the 2 teams that I think the Cousins camp is keeping an eye on. The phrase people very close to, if not within, the Kirk Cousins camp feels intentionally obscure to me. But if the greater point from Florio is that he's being told Cousins and those close to him have an interest in Pittsburgh, that is something to monitor. Cousins has always been my vote for what the Steelers should do at QB next year, depending on how his contract will be structured. If the club and his representatives can work out a manageable deal, then I say do it. He'd bring the offense instant credibility and balance that Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Ryan Tannehill, Fields, or fill in the blank draft choice would not. Indeed, whatever Cousins would cost would be expensive. Then again, how much has subpar quarterback play since Ben Roethlisberger blew out his elbow cost the team in terms of chances for contention in the playoffs? Does that cost mean anything? Maybe Cousins' asking price, term, or structure demands for his contract won't make sense for the Steelers, but it would for Atlanta or another team. Okay then. So be it. Move on. But if I'm Omar Khan and the Steelers, I'd have to be talked out of it. It wouldn't take much to talk me into it. And you fan? What do you think of the Kirk Cousins situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.